Nicole, how's your day going aside from answering the same questions over and over and over again about yourself?
Tell you right now, I am currently in our crack house that we filmed for in Detroit, and we don't have AC, and it's a balmy like 98 degrees and 2,000% humidity in Detroit right now. So sweaty. How's that? That's the answer. But no, it's going all good.
That's pretty on brand for Rehab Addict. But, speaking to your long-term success here, you started on television about 15-ish years ago. Did you have any idea that you'd be doing this long term and it wasn't just a one-off?
That's a good question. And I knew that I would always be doing old houses, right?
Hmm.
And first started, I could have went on TV and I could have been very polished. I could have been in hair and makeup every day. And I thought to myself, even at like all of 34 years old, I thought, you know what? If I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna fail being me and giving it all I got. I don't want to fail because I tried to like dress up. And in the early episodes, you'll have those moments where I'm in, real estate agent mode, and I really was. I was still selling houses then, and I'm like, I'm in a Banana Republic outfit because I worked part time at Banana Republic. So I mean, that's
Sure.
doing every job in the world. But it was really important to me that I just came across as who I really am. I didn't want to create this, and I think that with that thought in mind, did I think I was going to be almost 49 years old and doing this show still? I don't think that ever crossed my mind. No, I really didn't. I was really in the show. I needed to make money back then. I had a young child at home, and I had this habit of buying old houses, but I really, really thought that the first episode was really going to boom my real estate career. I can't make that up. I really thought I was going to sell so many houses saying that I was on HGTV. And now I don't sell any. So, that's the evolution.
Sure. So this new season, of course, takes you to Wyoming, but you're forever synonymous with Detroit. Now, as a New Yorker, I've now seen Detroit become a hub for filming, for movies and television, for cuisine, for music, etc. And to me, I think that started around the early 2000s that it started coming back. To you, when did you start to see Detroit come back?
I would say more 2014, 2014, when I did my Ransom Gillis house, I just given birth actually. I was 2 weeks postpartum when I did my first walkthrough there. And that house was alone on all this empty acreage in Detroit. We didn't have the new stadiums, we didn't have anything. And that was really I like to say sometimes kind of the beginning of the end because the old Detroit as we all knew it and loved is disappearing. But
Right.
that started. Anthony Bourdain really shined a spotlight on our food, here, and really just, if you're born in Detroit, how's this? I don't care if you're born in Detroit. If you're born in Michigan, you have this special affinity with Detroit proper, and we're so proud of it. We're so proud of our history. And I didn't start this show in Detroit. I started it in Minneapolis because that's where I happen to be living, but I was still a true Detroiter. You will not find one episode in those Minnesota years where I don't have a Detroit shirt on. I was so proud of it. And I think we brought the show back here in 2010, 13, something like that. And it was a fight. It was a fight for me to go to the network and be like, I want to go home. I want to shoot in Detroit. And we couldn't get things done in Detroit because nobody wanted to work in the city proper. So I have seen that happen, and it's been pretty cool to watch. But for the historian in me and the preservationist, it's got its bittersweet end because we're seeing the demolition of our history at a faster rate now in Detroit than we ever have before in every major city, and that's the heartache for me. There's a very good synergy between modern design and
Hmm.
and so many people miss that. And I think it's always my job to speak very vocally and educate people about the need for that.
Sure. So Wyoming, had you spent much time there before filming the season?
No, Wyoming was a fluke. I had just lost a battle with a huge developer in my hometown of Lake Orion, Michigan. They bulldozed 15 historic structures. I fought, and I was just burnt out. I was so heartbroken, and I'd been obsessing about this little historic town that I'd been seeing houses for sale in
Hmm.
Wyoming once in my life, a long time ago. In another life, I got engaged in Jackson Hole. Obviously, that didn't work out. I'm still sitting in a crack house today, working my rear off. But then I had been through like rural Wyoming once again. Didn't know anyone there. Had
Hmm.
never been, and there was just something inside of me. Like I needed a break. I needed to be somewhere where people respected their history, loved their history, And that was it. That was my answer to it. Now, I happened to be taking a small little break in Paris, and I was like staring at the Eiffel Tower, having a good dinner by myself. So I just went online, and it was $140,000, and I bought it, and that was it. And then I went from Paris to JFK to Salt Lake City to Wyoming to see
To
my
Wyoming.
daughter.
Wow, no direct flights yet. One day we'll get the direct flights. So, two more questions and then I'll let you go. The first one is, besides your success with all the HGTV programming, you're now a best-selling author. You did the TED Talk for TED Detroit. When someone says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" Do you have an easy way of describing who you are or what you are?
I'm a mom. I literally just say, oh, I'm, I'll name my children like that. I'm their mom, you know? And then my little one will be like, oh, tell them what you really, I'm not telling them. You would make a joke, like you have to like twist my arm off. Like, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not, if you don't know, you don't know. And it's actually refreshing when people don't know who I am. You know, in Wyoming, no one knew who I was. I was just this woman that bought this house. I'd go to the hardware 87 times a day because I'd forget what I needed in the first place, or I'd get the wrong thing. And I have these real people problems when renovating a house. I need to go to the hardware a lot, and I'd go to the local cafe and get my iced tea, and it was beautiful. It was wonderful. So no, I'm never, and I'm not one to, I don't want to discuss, I don't want to discuss my show. Like I'll discuss old houses. I don't want to discuss the show. It's not, I don't want to be known as like that chick that had that TV show years ago. So that's, if somebody were to ever introduce me like that, I would cringe and I would run and hide.
Got it. And then the last question I have for you, digging around your Instagram, I saw that you're followed by Butch Walker. And then I did some more research and I went, oh, now I know. Now I know the connection, all that. But do you have a favorite music venue in the Detroit area?
All right, St. Andrews Hall. But I'm going to say this. St. Andrews Hall back in the day, it was so grungy. I saw Gwen Stefani live, okay? Live. I saw No Doubt live in like, I'm getting goosebumps. Like 1997, I think I saw Fugazi there. It was such a cool grungy venue. The toilets would overflow every show. I mean, they had this basement where you would go down. It was called the Shelter. It was so cool. So I actually went there. The last time I was there for was Butch Walker show, which I will say this Butch is a good friend. He is the most amazing live performer.
Yes.
I also just saw Jack White. I mean, live music. I don't know if you can tell I'm passionate about it. I'm from Detroit. We're a music scene.
Sure.
But my favorite. And then, I'm from Lake Roy, Michigan, and Pine Knob venue is right there. Like, you used to just, if you couldn't afford the ticket, you would drive down the dirt road, which ironically, if you take that dirt road long enough, you run into my grandparents' farm. But if you couldn't afford the concert tickets, you would drive in high school. I drove a 1972 Dodge Polara that could fit my entire graduating class in it. It was that big, right? So we would drive down that road. We would park, roll down the window, sit on the hood, listen to the concert for free. So that's you won't find me. You won't find me in like a large venue. That's like my undoing. I need to be able to. Years ago, I just told my youngest the other day, when I was 9 months pregnant with him, Alice Cooper did a private show in this old building in downtown Detroit. And I told my entire crew, I'm like, we have to go. Like, it's Alice Cooper. And there's one red carpet picture of me, and you don't tell I'm pregnant because I like
Sure.
positioned it,
Good angling.
hiding it. And I was big as a house. And I remember at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I don't think I can stand anymore. My feet are so long. I think I give birth the next week. But it was so cool to be that close to Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
When you live music, you definitely get the chance. You take it. And I play the bassoon, so I'm not exactly in the cool music genre.
Well, next time I interview you, we're going to talk bassoon and Fugazi. But in the meantime, congrats on the new season and looking forward to what's to come from you, Nicole.
Much.
Paltrocast.